Welcome to Driveway Garage. Today I'm working on a 2003 GMC Envoy, but I think it's the same thing for a Trailblazer. There was a few years that have the same clock spring, and that's what I'm trying to replace. And I'm going to show you what I did, and I don't know if it's a trick, but it worked for me. So here it is. So the clock spring sits right there. It's behind the steering wheel. Now, troubleshooting this, what I did is I took the lower dash panel off, and there's these wires and this yellow clip. Now this is there's the 4 bolts. 2 of them hold this lower part in with the electrical connectors. I think they're 5/16, maybe 1/4 inch. And then there's 2 more that hold this other part on. I'll show you it real quick. It's laying right there. And there's 2 bolts that hold it in place. I think they're right there. And then these little clips go in and line it up. That's the easy part. Now, I kept getting these codes. There's a B0044 and a 26 and something else. And it all had to do with the driver's side airbag. So I watched a bunch of videos and I checked all the connectors under the seats. That wasn't it. Finally, I got out my ohm meter and I unplugged this clip underneath the dash, and I went up here to the pink and white pigtails that go to the airbag. Now, before you start this, I disconnected my battery, turned my headlights on, waited a little while, make sure there's no residual electricity left in there. I guess you don't want these airbags going off prematurely. So then I ohmed the wires between this pigtail and down there, and I had no continuity. So I narrowed it down to the clock spring. And I stuck a small piece of wire. Oh, where'd it go? Here it is. I had some small electrical wire, and I used that to plug into this pigtail because it's a really small, like a 32nd of an inch hole. It's pretty tiny. I put the wire in there and I did an ohm test on all these wires, and I had no continuity there. So I decided, let's take off the clock spring. So to remove the airbag, you need to take something, and what I used was this little Allen wrench. It's pretty small. I can't tell you what size it is. Maybe an 1/8 of an inch. And you put those. You can get by with one because there's 2 clips, one on each side. You can get by with one, but it's better if you have 2. Now on the side of the steering wheel, you'll see a hole there, and there's one just like it on the other side. And the airbag has these prongs that go into these plastic clips. So when you put the pieces of metal in there, it releases those clips. You can pull your airbag out. And then you have to pull up on these tabs. Well, you can see this one's already pulled out. And that releases the connector, so you can pull those away from the airbag. And once you get that done, there's a black connector in there too, and it needs to come out. And it fastens right there. You have to lift up on that little tab clip, I guess, and it pulls it up off of this. And then I used a small screwdriver and I pried it off and got that off. Now this is the ground for the horns, I guess. It goes back through the steering wheel. It's almost like a fuse. Maybe it is a fuse, but it twists out of there. And it goes down in that hole right there. So what I did, I just grabbed this side here with a pair of pliers because it sticks out. I pushed it in, twisted it to the left, and it popped right out of there. And oh, I just remembered something. I forget. I'll go through it. You're not going to see this whole process, I guess, because I forgot something. You need a snap ring tool to get the clock spring out of there. Where was I? Oh, okay. So to get the steering wheel off, you need to get a puller. but there's no threaded bolts in here like most steering wheels from the research I did. So I went to O'Reilly's, told them what I was looking for, showed them a picture, and we came up with this. Performance Tool Steering Wheel Puller, part number W80651. Now, the important part of this is these metal rods with the J-hook. These J-hooks go down into these two holes on either side of the center bolt. And in this case, they were too big. If you look there, you can see where I ground it off. They're kind of roughly made, you know, they're not precision tools. So I ground it off enough. This is the one I ground off. The other one I think I ground off a little bit more. Yeah. So this one, I kind of rounded it off to side, and I made it shallower on the end there. And that allowed me to get this down into that hole, and it could still be a little bit skinnier. You get it down in that hole, there, oops, everything moves. And then you can just twist it and it'll catch on a piece of metal. It'll catch anyway, you really don't even have to twist it. Once you get it in the hole, let me flip the steering wheel around so you can see. This is what you're looking at. These are the two holes that you have to have the hook into. Goes in there, and if it was the right one, you would twist it sideways and it would connect right there. But these worked. Let's see if I can get under there and turn that. So if you could turn it, there, it would just rest in there like that. Now on the top part of it, you get those two in there. Now this comes with this bracket that goes into the steering wheel bolt, and then once you have the arms in place, you screw that in, and that is a, oh, let's see, oh, it's actually a small, yeah, I used a small spark plug wrench. What is that, 5/8? That fits on there perfect. Now when I went to pull the steering wheel, as you can see, this is flat on the end, and that's kind of flat, but it's got a dimple in it, but it just kept sliding around. It wouldn't stay in place. So what I did is I took I think that's the right size, nope, 14 millimeter socket, and it set right on the end there, just like that. Now that puts pressure against that, and then this, basically what you're doing is keeping this bolt from walking off the end of the steering wheel shaft there. It worked really good. I got it on there, got it lined up, and I used my small impact wrench there and the spark plug wrench, and as you're tightening it up, it just pops the steering wheel right off of there. Worked really good. I forgot while I was down there at, here's a little bit of hair. Somebody's hair got stuck in the steering wheel. Must have been a girl driving. Anyway, there's a snap ring right there. And I don't have snap ring tools, I don't think. So in this case, you have to spread them apart. Some of them you have to tighten up to fit them inside it, like on a bearing or something. But these have to be pulled apart. Once you get that done, you can take a piece of plastic or screwdriver, like a trim tool, pry this apart just a little bit where the seam is, and your clock spring will come right out of there. Now well, anyway, I'm gonna have to go back to O'Reilly's. I'm heading that direction anyway, pretty soon. Get a pair of snap ring tools. And that's basically how you take it off, and then you put your new one on. Just reverse order. Put your clock spring in. Oh, I know something that they mentioned I forgot to tell you about. They tell you to mark your steering wheel, but see, there's a green arrow there. They said put a line on there so you know exactly where to put it. But I noticed They tell you to do that, but there's only one way these go on. There's a fatter groove, a wider, it's slotted, or what do you call that? Anyway, it's got the teeth in there like a gear, and there's a white spot. And the white spot goes onto, I guess it'd be right there. So there's only one way this goes on. You can't mess it up, supposedly. But I did notice there's a green line. Sorry for the shaky camera. There's a green arrow there. And I thought I saw a mark on my steering wheel here when it was in there. Oh, there it is. There's like a little arrow there too. Those should line up. Then your steering wheel will be straight. Maybe it's the line on the top. Nope. Well, I might have been off on that one. Anyway, should be easy to put the steering wheel back on and put it all back together. I hope. Fortunately, my airbag's not bad, but now that I'm looking at this clock spring, how much it costs, it might have been cheaper to replace the airbag. This one at O'Reilly's is about $185. You can get it online for about $125, like Rock Auto or A1 Auto Parts. Or you can get a used one for $40, $50. But then I guess you're running the risk that it won't be good. How do they know it's good or bad, right? If that's coming out of a wrecked vehicle. Anyway, I hope this helps somebody get their steering wheel off and get their either their airbag replaced or the clock spring. Thanks for watching. If I think of anything else, I will add another short clip at the end. If this doesn't fix my problem, I'll make a note of that in my comments. But I'm hoping, after my diagnosis with the ohm meter, that it is the clock spring, because there doesn't seem to be any connection there. And I never tried, one guy said his steering wheel controls never worked, and I don't even remember if I ever used those or tried those. So I just bought this to flip it. It's got an airbag light on that won't go away, and it had a misfire, which was a bad coil. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Sorry for rambling. Have a good one.